Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm John and today we're going to look about riding the motorbike in the Philippines. We're going to look at the good, the bad and the crazy, and there is a bit of all sorts. So if we're going to, if we're going to talk about motorbikes, okay, I've been riding motorbikes more or less since I've been about 15, on and off over the years, and I've ridden big bikes, small bikes, and I've ridden in different countries as well. So I do know what I'm talking about with motorbikes some other time. But good things. So if we're going to talk about good things in the Philippines, probably the best thing, coming from the UK is, unlike in the UK, if you've got a motorbike or even if you've got a car, the police will try and harass you, with the speed cameras or, anything to not do a proper crime, just to make target figures up. And harassing motorists is an easy thing in the UK. There's none of that here, so that's probably one good point uh, for riding bikes over here. But the other thing is the freedom and flexibility that it gives you. You're not having to wait for a taxi, you're not having to wait for a jeepney. It's just you, your bike, and the open road, really. So you go out and enjoy yourself as much as possible. Now, having a bike over here is really cost effective. It's really cheap, especially when you compare it to UK. Fuel at the minute is about 60 pesos a litre. So it costs me 200 pesos, 250 pesos to fill up, when I fill my bike up. Put it into another complex, another way of saying it. It costs more to drink a pint of beer in England than fill up a bike here. So don't believe all the hype saying it's very expensive here. It's not. The other thing about scooters here, the city, no real city has been made for traffic. They're not made for cars. There's not enough parking. So a bike is really easy to park anywhere. And you don't get charged parking, unlike for a car. They get paid for it. When I gave up driving cars 15 months ago, and to be honest, I don't miss them. I like the freedom of a bike. One of the things I do like about riding a bike, and I would say it's definitely a good thing, is you get more access to hidden gems. Now, an example of this is the other weekend I went to Hermit Mountain View, and it's stunning. It's probably the best road I've ever ridden on. So you're on top of a little hillock going along the top of this hill, and you're looking down at the valleys and the mountains in the background, and it was absolutely superb road for riding on. But to go down to the waterfalls, it's a mud track, really. It's the best way. It's clay. It's a clay track. Would I take a car down there? Would I? Yeah, I would think maybe with a 4x4 I would do it, but I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do a car down there. So with a bike you can get down there and it's okay. And the other thing is the Philippines got a big motorbike culture. Those there are groups of people who ride big bikes, off-road bikes, uh, different clubs. So some of the clubs I know here in Bacolod, you've got big ones. You've got people who like Vespers and they meet up at Mega World. You get people who have. I met one group. They all have the same, not only the same model of bike, but it's in the same colour. So there's about 20 of them. They've got the same bike and the same colour, which is a bit strange. And lots of companies, people get together and they go off riding that weekend. So it's really easy to make friends, go out riding, and just enjoy the culture. But I'm going to say if we're going to look at the bad section, um, I'd say probably the worst thing, is be the crazy traffic. Like in the UK, we've got rules and generally we abide by them rules. Well, the Philippines have got them rules, and it's more like suggestions whether you stick to it or not. So that can be a bit of a challenge, and I would say road conditions, people say the Philippines, the roads are in terrible condition. They've not been to the UK because we're like pothole central, and it doesn't matter where you go in England, what road you're on, they're all got potholes. Yes, there is potholes, not so many. You know, maybe if you're in the sticks, yes, you've got more chance of potholes, but in the cities, not really. You do get flooded streets, and the flooded streets is not because of potholes. Generally, it's because of poor drainage, And here in Bacolod, where they have them places, they are trying to improve the drainage. So that is one thing to think about. And the other thing is, the how to say random roadblocks or road obstructions. So you can get a truck driving on the road, next thing it breaks down, or a jeepney. So there is a variation of obstacles that can get in your way here. And the other thing that's a challenge here is the weather. And you've got about two ways of looking at this. Sometimes it is the temperatures, they're getting hot, and you can get heat stroke and heat exhaustion. But you need to make sure you're topping up and stopping and having fluids regularly. The other one, the other part of weather you've got to think about is when it rains. When it rains here, it's not like in England we have the drizzle for 6 weeks. We get a ton of it down in an hour, So places get flooded, you get drenched, but it makes the roads more slippy. So that is something to think about. The other thing, especially when you're out in the cities, there is a lack of road signs. So it's hard to sometimes find out where you are. You think, oh, I'll just get on Google Maps, that'll tell me where we are, and Google Maps doesn't work very well. So that is something to think about. And for some people, the challenge is, the paperwork. Philippines is like every government office around the world. They all work at one speed, and slow's not it, So it can get frustrating for some people. Some people worry about bike thefts, and rightly so, but it depends where you are. Most areas you're safe. People will leave their helmets, their bags and whatever on top of their bikes. If I'm in an area which I'm a bit unsure of, I do lock my helmet to my bike, but that's neither here nor there, And one thing you've got to remember here is take your keys out of your ignition. I've done that before. I've left the keys in the ignition, and the security guard told me off when I come back because he'd got my keys. So it does happen. And if we think about the craziness here, then there is a lot of craziness, and the Philippines will never disappoint with craziness. And 5 people on one bike, that's perfectly acceptable here. Just like it is in many Southeast Asian countries. So you will get the whole family, on the bike, and there'll be dad driving, mum on the bit rear, two or three kids in the middle, and they may even have the dog balanced on there as well. And it works for them. So and it's fine. And over here they transport everything by bike. So we're not just talking about motorbike. They have sidecars. A bit like UK in the 60s and 70s. But here they will transport pigs, chickens. They'll even have furniture, building supplies, all sorts. On if it's on two wheels and they can balance it, they ride it. So that's one of the craziness things you'll see here. The other one, which I think is really crazy, is no helmet, no worries. I think that's a bit mad. They believe, or they don't think they're going to damage their head. Trust me, I just wear the helmet. It's a lot safer. The other thing you're going to get here is the tricycle dance. And this will either be, the push tricycle that people have, or the kamikaze motorbike and sidecar, where they just stop in the middle of the road. They will want to go left, they want to go right, they're not really sure, go around in circles. They do all these things in front of you. And I would say the other one is random random roadblocks that you get here. So it's quite often, you know, not so much in the cities, but outside in the countryside. You'll see dogs laying in the road, you'll see goats at the side of the road, you'll see caribou at the side of the road, sometimes even on the road, you know, and you'll get people just casually laying on the road, you know, so you get all this mix and match of craziness, you know, around. You know, and in some places you get the, you know, the boy racers, you know, they do the nighttime racing. Now, young people around the world, they like customizing their cars. In the Philippines, it's no often. It's no different. Except because they can't afford cars, they have motorbikes. And it's quite common to see them with what looks like a bicycle wheel, you know, really skinny thing, and it's low rided. And they do a good job, you know, they have all lights on them, they may get spray jobs, you know, but they look pretty cool. But it's just their culture, that's what they want to do. You know, is riding here dangerous? No, not really. The biggest danger, I would say, for expats is lack of experience. You may have been a rider in your own country, you know, so great, you know, but you've never been into Southeast Asia. Southeast Asia is different. The roads are different. The tarmac is different. So the handling is very, very different. You know, so, and for some people, they've never ridden a bike and they come over here and they think they can do it. And some of the worst accidents I've seen expats have in not only the Philippines, in South Asia, have been the same thing. Getting on bikes, no experience, and hitting something. You know, a couple of years ago, we were in Thailand. You know, a young lad gets on a scooter, revs it up, loses control. He's just been shot straight across. This bike comes straight across the road, you know, into the cafeteria that we were sat at. I had to pull Lynn's out of the way as this bike ploughed into her seat. She was very lucky not to get, you know, injured in it. But you see that quite often. So if I'm going to give you some tips, always wear your helmet. You can't state that enough. You know, you might not wear all the other safety gear. You know, you may decide flip-flops are the thing you want to go riding in. That's up to you, but always wear the helmet. Have insurance just in case. It might not do you any good, but have it just in case. And if you've not, you know, if you're just coming over here, it doesn't matter what your experience is riding a bike. Start with a small bike here. You know, the first time I came to Southeast Asia, I had a 100cc Chinese thing. And it did me for what I needed it to do. You know, it got me the confidence and I got used to the handling of the road. And then the next time I got a bigger one, you know, and had a lot more fun with it. But when you get on your bikes, go somewhere quiet. You know, don't just try to go through the town centre in rush hour. You will get killed. You know, when I picked my first bike up here in the Philippines, it was on the south of the city, and we were stopping on the north of the city. So we went off into the hills. We did about 30, 40 miles, just getting comfortable using this bike before we went through the city. You know, and it was fine, you know, because I got used to the bike. You know, I was happy with its handling, you know, so definitely practice, you know, out there. And always assume the unexpected, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. There's no two ways about it. But the way to get good here is to keep on riding. Don't stop. You know, I ride, or most days I ride. Yes, I might be going to the shop or going to the coffee shop. I might be going across town. But generally at weekends, I go for long rides. You know, with my friends, we'll go off somewhere and I get to see some of the awesome roads here. You know, in Bacolod area, the best place to actually ride to is Don Salvador. Don Salvador is like, it's like going to Devil's Bridge if you're in the north of England. People go there, they go there for a brew. Same with DSB, you know, it's got some awesome twisties on the way up to there, and you go up there, you have a coffee and your banana chips. But it is awesome. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed it, found it useful. Just let us know in the comments if you liked it, and put in the comments, what do you think of riding in the Philippines? Do you like it or do you not? Thanks for watching. Take care.